Let's begin with an overview of the Scrum Framework, one of the most popular Agile frameworks used today. Scrum is a way of working that emphasizes teamwork, accountability, and iterative progress toward a well-defined goal. It is often used in software development, but its principles can be applied to any project where teams need to collaborate to solve complex problems. It operates through short cycles of work, called sprints, allowing teams to regularly inspect and adapt their approach, ensuring continuous improvement and alignment with the project goals. Scrum is a lightweight framework designed to help individuals, teams, and organizations generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. It's more than just a set of rules. It's a way of thinking about work that encourages flexibility and continuous improvement. The foundation of Scrum lies in several key principles. It uses an iterative and incremental approach, which means that work is done in short cycles with frequent opportunities for review and adaptation. It also uses empirical process control, meaning that decisions are based on observation, experimentation, and data, rather than on upfront planning and predictions. Scrum teams are self-organizing and cross-functional, empowering them to make decisions and solve problems collaboratively. Finally, Scrum utilizes time-boxed events, ensuring that meetings and activities have fixed durations to maintain focus and efficiency. The success of Scrum relies heavily on the values that guide the team's behavior and decisions. There are 5 core Scrum values that are the guiding light of this framework. First is commitment, where each team member is personally committed to achieving the goals of the Scrum team. Focus is where everyone concentrates on the work of the sprint and the overall goals of the team. Openness ensures transparency about the work being done and the challenges that arise. Respect encourages team members to respect each other as capable and independent individuals. Lastly, courage involves having the courage to do what's right and tackle tough problems, even when it's difficult. Within the Scrum framework, there are 3 specific roles. First, the product owner is responsible for maximizing the value of the product. This role involves developing and communicating the product goal, creating and clearly communicating product backlog items, ordering those backlog items, and ensuring that the product backlog is transparent and understood by everyone. Next, the Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum and helping everyone understand Scrum theory and practice. They coach team members in self-management and cross-functionality, help the Scrum team focus on creating high-value increments, remove any impediments to the team's progress, and ensure that all Scrum events take place and are positive and productive. Finally, the developers are the team members who are committed to creating any aspect of a usable increment each sprint. Their responsibilities include creating a plan for the sprint, adapting their plan each day toward the sprint goal, holding each other accountable as professionals, and ensuring quality by adhering to a definition of done. Scrum utilizes 3 main artifacts to manage and track the work being done. The first one is the product backlog. It is an emergent and ordered list of what is needed to improve the product, and it is a single source of work for the Scrum team. This backlog is constantly refined and prioritized, and it is owned by the product owner, hence commitment is the product goal. The second one is the sprint backlog, a plan by and for the developers to achieve the sprint goal. It includes selected product backlog items for the sprint, along with a plan for delivering the increment. The sprint backlog is also updated throughout the sprint as more is learned, and its commitment is the sprint goal. And the third one is the increment, a concrete stepping stone toward the product goal. It must be usable and meet quality standards, is created by the end of each sprint, and multiple increments may be created within a single sprint. The commitment for increment is definition of done. Scrum defines 5 key events that provide structure and rhythm to the work. The first one is the sprint, a fixed-length event, usually 1 to 4 weeks, that contains all other Scrum events and all the work needed to achieve the product goal. It creates predictability by ensuring inspection and adaptation of progress, while also limiting the risk to 1 calendar month of cost. Next is sprint planning, which initiates the sprint by laying out the work to be performed. In this event, the Scrum team answers the questions: why is this sprint valuable? determining the sprint goal. What can be done this sprint? Selecting items from the product backlog and how will the chosen work get done? Planning the work necessary to create an increment. The third one is the Daily Scrum, a 15-minute event for the developers. It is held at the same time and place every working day of the sprint to reduce complexity, and the purpose is to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary. It also helps in improving communication, identify impediments, promote quick decision-making, and eliminate the need for other meetings. Then comes the sprint review, which inspects the outcome of the sprint and determines future adaptations. The Scrum team demonstrates the increment to stakeholders, collects feedback on the product, and updates the product backlog based on feedback. Lastly, the sprint retrospective plans ways to increase quality and effectiveness for the next sprint. The Scrum team inspects how the last sprint went and identifies improvements for processes and interactions, thereby creating a plan to implement improvements. Sprint planning initiates the sprint by laying out the work to be performed. The resulting plan is created collaboratively by the entire Scrum team. There are three main topics which act as a guideline in sprint planning. First, the product owner proposes how the product could increase its value in the current sprint. Second, developers select items from the product backlog to include in the current sprint. Third, developers plan the work necessary to create an increment that meets the definition of done. Answering these questions will lead to a highly productive sprint that aligns with the product vision. The Daily Scrum is a 15-minute event for the developers. It's held at the same time and place every working day of the sprint to reduce complexity. The purpose of Daily Scrum is to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary. The developers are required in this event. The Scrum Master ensures the event occurs, but the developers are responsible for conducting it. The developers can select whatever structure and techniques they want, as long as they focus on progress toward the sprint goal. In general, developers answer three questions. What did I do yesterday? What will I do today? Are there any impediments? The sprint review is to inspect the outcome of the sprint and determine future adaptations. During the sprint review, the Scrum team presents the results of their work to key stakeholders. Then the Scrum team and stakeholders review what was accomplished and what has changed. Participants collaborate on what to do next, providing input to upcoming sprint planning. The product backlog may be adjusted to meet new opportunities. The purpose of the sprint retrospective is to plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness for the next sprint. First, the Scrum team inspects how the last sprint went with regards to individuals' interactions, processes, tools, and definition of done. Then, the Scrum team identifies what went well, what problems it encountered, and how those problems were or were not solved. The Scrum team identifies the most helpful changes to improve its effectiveness. The most impactful improvements are addressed as soon as possible and may even be added to the sprint backlog for the next sprint. Implementing Scrum offers many advantages. Faster delivery is achieved through regular increments of working product allow for faster time to market and early value delivery to customers. Higher quality is ensured by built-in quality practices and definition of done, which ensures consistent, high-quality deliverables with fewer defects. Reduced risk is seen as short iterations and frequent inspection points allow for early risk identification and mitigation. Better collaboration is fostered as cross-functional teams, and daily communication fosters better collaboration and shared ownership. Increased transparency is the result of visible artifacts and regular events which create transparency for all stakeholders about progress and challenges. Finally, continuous improvement is made possible because regular retrospectives enable teams to continuously improve their processes, tools, and relationships. Ultimately, Scrum provides a lightweight framework that helps teams deliver value incrementally while adapting to changing requirements and maintaining sustainable pace. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.